Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Confident Coaching Podcast. I'm Jillian, and today we are going to talk about how I structure discovery calls. This is a Q&A episode. I got this question in one of the anonymous question boxes that I put in my broadcast channel every week. And I thought that this would be a great episode to record because I know that there's sometimes a little bit of confusion around what does a good discovery call include. I also kind of hate the advice that a lot of business coaches give because a lot of business coaches are focused on sales. And as coaches, I want to encourage us to be focused on connection, rapport, and education. When I'm on a discovery call, my goal is to not sell anyone on my service. It is to listen to what this client needs, evoke their motivation for change, and determine if my coaching service is the right fit for them. It is not to sell them, to overcome objections, any of that. And we base this on the phases and the skills of motivational interviewing. Essentially, if you are using motivational interviewing in a discovery call, if that client is the right fit for your coaching service, that is going to appear completely natural. It is going to be evident that you are the right fit. But we are not focused on selling anyone on anything. I like you to think about how you like to be sold to. When it feels like someone is convincing you or they're trying to overcome your objections, it feels kind of icky. And I just had a recent experience with this where the service for a product was fantastic. I was like, the service is amazing. It was like a podcast. It was something about for podcasts. Anyways, the service was great, but the way that the guy tried to sell it to me really turned me off because he was trying to overcome objections. He was trying to sell me. He was asking those questions like, don't you think this would be a great idea? And don't you think this is exactly what you need? And that made me feel like I was being manipulated. No one wants to feel that way when you are presenting them with a service. So here is how I structure my discovery calls. I essentially follow the 4 phases of motivational interviewing. Those are engage, focus, evoke, and plan. And so when I get on a discovery call, that client or that potential client has already filled out a form that essentially just gives me a sort of an overview of what they are looking for in a coach, what they're struggling with, what their goals are. They've already had presented to them the price that's on both my discovery call form. It's also on my coaching page on my website. I do not hide pricing because I personally like to go into a discovery call with someone as a buyer, knowing like how much does this thing cost, right? So when I am jumping on a discovery call, I think about engaging the person. How do I start to build a rapport? How do I learn a little bit about them, even just a little bit about their personality? So I will often start by just saying, like, how is your day going? What do you want to talk about today? Even if they've already put their goals on my questionnaire, I still ask them, in your words, tell me a little bit about what brings you here today. That is going to help them open up. Yes, sometimes you're going to get people that just word vomit all over you. And as you become more skilled in motivational interviewing, you will learn how to focus in an effective way with individuals that sort of word vomit. And focusing is about you listening to this sort of in this engage process. And you can then pick out, ooh, well, what do we actually want to focus on today? And we can use a motivational interviewing skill called summarizing in order to do that. So one of the things that I find the most effective in discovery calls is letting that person do a little bit of word vomiting and then saying, hey, so it sounds like this, and this. Does that resonate with you? And almost always they're like, yes, that's exactly what's going on. And even if I get it wrong, that gives them the chance to correct me and builds that rapport even farther. From there, I want to evoke motivation. So I want to listen to their change talk. I want to hear their sustain talk. And I want to evoke more motivation for them to make a change. When I do that, I'm actually on that call helping them think, yes, like I do want to change this. I can change this. they're starting to think this person really gets me and I feel supported by them. And then from there, we can plan. We can say, hey, so it sounds like with this, this, and this, what do you think you would want to do about it? What do you think we could do about it together? At this point, potential clients will usually ask me, tell me about how coaching works. Tell me about your coaching structure. They are already moving themselves into the part where they want to know more about coaching. They want to know exactly how it works. They want to know how they can work with me. And so I'm not trying to overcome objections. I'm not trying to add time pressure. I'm not doing any convincing. I find it really ineffective to try to overcome objections. Let's say someone says, I want to talk to my partner about this first. Fantastic. I also like to talk to my partner if I'm about to invest money in something, not because he's going to say no, but because I trust my partner. I love talking to my partner and I really appreciate his insight because he knows me really well. I also don't add time pressure unless there's genuinely like I have my client roster filling up. I will say, hey, just to let you know, I'm waiting to hear back from a couple of people. But I will be forthcoming with you on a call if I genuinely have a limited amount of coaching spots available. That's usually something I'm upfront with even before we jump on a call. And I don't convince. If this person, through that MI process, where I'm evoking motivation, I'm helping them really dive into what it is that they want to change. If we find that I'm not the right fit for them, we find that they're still hesitant, they're not quite at that stage of change where they're ready to take the leap, I'm not here to convince them. I want to work with people that are ready. I can use my communication to help them get a little bit more ready, but I'm not here to convince. And something that comes up all the time with mentoring clients, and I highly recommend to do this, I always set a specific time for follow up unless they say yes directly on the call. So I will tell them, hey, what do you say if I don't hear from you in a couple of days on Thursday? I'll reach out and send you a message. Is that okay? Pretty much always the answer is yes, that sounds fantastic. Keeping in mind that people have other things on their minds than coaching. This is not their sole focus, and it's totally normal for them to lose track of time or forget about it, even if they are interested. So, this is not being pushy, this is being clear about our communication. I also give examples from other client experiences, obviously, without any sort of identifying characteristics for other clients, but I don't guarantee a result. I can give them an example of results that other clients have achieved, but I can never give a guaranteed result. And I can tell you, this setup for discovery calls tends to result in a really high conversion rate. I establish really strong rapport with clients before we get started, and my overall client retention tends to be around a year, often a lot more than that. So, with that, I would really encourage you to think about how you are currently structuring discovery calls. If your discovery calls have any focus around overcoming objections or convincing, I would really encourage you to shift more towards a motivational interviewing style for your discovery call. And I have an MI starter guide in the show notes if you want kind of a brief overview, or if you like a bit of mentorship to get better at this, I'm happy to also offer you that as well. So, with that, thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful for understanding how to structure discovery calls in a more effective, ethical, and client-centered way. And if you like this episode, please go ahead and leave a rating or a review for the podcast. I would really, really appreciate that. And I will see you again here for another episode very soon.